Hi everybody, this is Elizabeth with UAB Institute for Arts and Medicine. I'd like to share a story with you today. This story comes to us from West Africa. It's an old folk tale, and I think it has, well, I'm not going to tell you what it has. I'll let you decide. So it's called The Blind Man and the Hunter. So long, long ago, in a small village, in a small hut, lived a brother and a sister. Now the sister was known for her incredible baking. She could take flour and turn it into a beautiful cake, a cookie, a pie, a pastry, and she was also known for her beauty inside and out. And her brother, he was known for his wisdom, and he often spent his days sitting on the front porch of their small hut in a chair, and there was a chair next to him where people would come and sit and pour out their troubles to this man, to the brother. Well, the brother would listen and listen and listen, and people always walked away feeling better than when they had arrived. Oh, there's something important I need to tell you about this brother. He's blind. He'd never been able to see, and oftentimes people would ask him, "How is it that you have come to be so wise when you have never seen?" And he said, "Oh, that's simple. I see with my heart." Well, one day the sister decided to go to a nearby village to sell some of her baked goods. Well, she set them out on a beautiful blanket, and people stopped because they were attracted by the smell and by her warm smile, including the hunter of the village. Now this hunter, imagine Superman and Batman and the Hulk and every strong superhero you've ever seen rolled into one. Well, this hunter had bulging muscles. He was strong. He had an angular jaw. He was afraid of no creature on earth. But when he saw the sister and he tasted one of her free samples of cookies, he was smitten. And she was too. They fell in love, and soon they were married. And the sister brought her new husband back to live with her and her brother in their village. Well, this hunter, for all his prowess with wild animals, had never met someone who was blind. And when he met his brother-in-law, he reluctantly shook his hand and then pulled it away as fast as he could and said, "Nice to meet you," and pretty much ignored his brother-in-law. But every night at dinner, the blind man would say to his brother, "Tomorrow, may I go with you on the hunt?" And every night the hunter would say, "You? Absolutely not. You would just get in the way. You'd probably get killed. You'd probably get me killed. You'd probably get eaten by something." And the blind man would say, "All right." But he asked every night, for a week, for a month, for a year. And one night, nobody's sure why, maybe it was the full moon, maybe it was the sister's good cooking, who knows? But the blind man asked his question, "Tomorrow, may I go with you on the hunt?" The hunter said, "Yes, we leave at dawn, be ready." So the next morning at dawn, the blind man was ready, and so was the brother. Well, they set off through the jungle. Well, the hunter had stuck out his mighty elbow with all those bulging biceps and triceps and deltoids. And the blind man took it, and they walked along. And the hunter noticed that the blind man, without him telling him, stepped over every high root, and he ducked under every low-hanging vine. And they walked, "Shh," said the blind man. "There is a great bull elephant at a watering hole just over there. We must choose another path." And the hunter said, "Damn." But he peered around a tree, and there was a great bull elephant. So they chose another path. Well, again they walked and they walked and they walked and they "Shh," said the blind man. "We cannot go this way. A lioness has just captured an antelope. I'm sure she'd like us for dessert." And the hunter said, "There is no." And he looked, and there was a lioness. So they chose another path. And they walked and they walked and they walked. And finally they arrived at a field, which was their destination. And the hunter said, "We are here to catch birds. I will put my cage here on the right, and blind man, I will put your cage here on the left. And tomorrow we will come back and see what we have caught." And the two men went home. Well, the sister cooked a magnificent meal and made a new pie, a sweet potato pie, which the men thoroughly enjoyed, and they fell asleep before it was even dark. The next morning they were up at dawn and set off. And once again the hunter stuck out that mighty elbow. But his brother, the blind man, pushed it away. He said, "I know how to get there." And indeed he did. The blind man walked through all the windy paths, stepped over the high roots, ducked under the low-hanging vines, and they arrived at the field. And the blind man said, "Have we caught anything?" And the hunter said, "Why, yes, we have. In one cage there is a great golden bird with ruby crown and emerald tail feathers. That's my bird. And in the other cage, there's a small gray dove, and that's your bird." Well, the two men began the journey home, and the blind man just walked, and the hunter at last broke the silence and said, okay, I have to ask you something. All these people say you are so wise, and they come and ask you things, and they pour out their troubles to you. So I have a question. Why is it there's unkindness, cruelty, a lack of justice, nastiness, war in the world? And the blind man said, "Well, my brother, it is because there are people like you, people who take what isn't theirs." "I'm sorry," said the hunter. And the two men walked on in silence. And finally the hunter said, "I have another question. Why is it there is some kindness and love and charity among neighbors and some peace?" And the blind man said, "Oh, my brother, it's because there are people like you, people who learn from their mistakes." And the two men walked on, and they arrived home, and they put the cages on the porch and set both birds free. And thereafter, there were often 3 chairs on the porch, one for the blind man, one for the guest, and one for the brother. And when people asked the blind man, "How is it that you have come to be so wise?" his brother would answer and say, "Don't you know? It's because he listens and he sees with his heart." Thank you for listening. I'll see you soon.